In life, every nation, just like every person, faces a moment when it seems everything is falling apart. But sometimes that's the exact moment when everything begins to come together. Pakistan in 2025 is standing in that very moment. The world sees its crises, but very few see the quiet transformation happening behind those challenges, the creativity, the innovation, the courage of a nation learning not just to survive, but to turn adversity into opportunity. When I look at Pakistan today, I don't see a country trapped by its problems. I see a country redefining them. I see young people building startups from scarcity, industries rising from reform, and institutions beginning to learn the power of execution over excuses. I see a country that is no longer waiting for stability to move forward. It's creating stability by moving forward. This speech is not about politics or propaganda. It's about possibility. It's about how a nation once seen through the lens of crisis is becoming a case study in resilience, innovation, and renewal. Because in a world full of uncertainty, Pakistan's story offers something rare: hope with direction. So stay with me till the end of this journey. Because what you're about to hear is not just the story of Pakistan, it's a lesson for every country, every company, and every individual who has ever faced struggle. It's a reminder that the greatest opportunities often come dressed as the hardest challenges. And those who dare to transform crisis into creativity don't just change their destiny, they change the course of history. Pakistan's recent economic turbulence has been one of the most testing periods in its modern history, marked by inflationary pressures, currency depreciation, and a shrinking fiscal space. Yet, it is precisely this environment of constraint that has pushed the country toward a deeper form of reform, not surface-level fixes, but structural realignment. What was once a dependency-driven economy, reliant on aid and external borrowing, is gradually being reshaped into one seeking diversified growth through regional and sectoral integration. The economic crisis exposed a fundamental truth: Pakistan could no longer rely on the same patterns of import-heavy consumption and narrow export bases. This realization has led policymakers to shift their focus from short-term stabilization to long-term transformation. One of the most visible expressions of this change is the Pakistan Sovereign Renewal Initiative, PSRI, a framework that seeks to restructure debt while aligning it with performance-based fiscal discipline and new forms of investment inflow. This model moves beyond borrowing for survival. It emphasizes earning capacity through innovation, industrial zoning, and digital exports. At the same time, Pakistan's trade vision is expanding beyond traditional partners. Economic geography is now seen as a resource, not a constraint. The renewed connectivity with Central Asia, driven by transport corridors through Afghanistan, is opening doors for energy and mineral trade. Collaboration with China under CPEC's second phase is becoming more industrial and less infrastructural, while deeper ties with the Middle East are focusing on renewable energy investment and remittance-backed entrepreneurship. The underlying objective is diversification, turning multiple small connections into one large network of resilience. Interestingly, these shifts are also catching the attention of European investors. Europe's interest lies in finding new, emerging markets that can absorb technology transfers, support green manufacturing, and expand digital services. Pakistan's policy direction, particularly its emphasis on export-oriented industrial growth and simplified investment procedures through the Special Investment Facilitation Council, aligns well with this global trend. The crisis, therefore, has not been an endpoint, but a reset button forcing Pakistan to rethink its fundamentals and reorient its external relationships around value creation rather than dependency. By viewing economic pain as a process of renewal, Pakistan is positioning itself to emerge as a more balanced, self-reliant economy, one that connects regional opportunities with global investment flows in a way that could redefine its economic identity in 2025 and beyond. Pakistan's youth and technology sectors are emerging as the most dynamic forces reshaping the nation's future. In a country where more than 64% of the population is under 30, human capital has become the central pillar of economic resilience. The challenges of unemployment, limited infrastructure, and global competition have not paralyzed this generation. Instead, they have driven it toward innovation. This transformation is most visible in the rise of Pakistan's tech ecosystem, a rapidly expanding network of startups, digital entrepreneurs, and tech incubators concentrated in cities like Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. Over the last few years, the government and private sector have jointly recognized that technology is not merely an industry, but a survival strategy. Initiatives such as the National Incubation Centers, the Pakistan Startup Fund, and the Digital Pakistan Policy have laid the groundwork for a knowledge-based economy. Startups are not waiting for stability to arrive. They are creating stability through ideas. Fintech platforms are digitizing financial access for millions who were previously excluded from formal banking, while agri-tech innovations are helping farmers monitor soil health, reduce waste, and improve yields. These developments have positioned Pakistan as an emerging participant in the global digital economy, rather than a peripheral observer. What makes this transition remarkable is the resilience of Pakistan's young innovators despite infrastructure constraints and limited investor confidence. International venture capital firms from the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and increasingly Europe are beginning to explore Pakistan's market. Potential because they see scalability rooted in necessity. This is not a luxury-driven tech culture, but one born out of problem-solving and innovation model that tends to be more adaptable and cost-efficient. The growing remote work economy has also opened a new horizon, allowing Pakistani freelancers, developers, and creative professionals to contribute directly to global markets. In education, the rise of AI-backed learning models and digital training platforms is reshaping access to skills. Youth-led organizations are teaching coding, design, and entrepreneurship in areas that had never seen such opportunities before. The combination of digital infrastructure expansion and youthful energy is gradually replacing dependency with capability. The world is beginning to see Pakistan not as a crisis economy, but as a talent economy in the making, where technology and youth have become both the means and the message of renewal. Pakistan's long-standing energy challenges have often been viewed as a symbol of its economic weakness. Rolling blackouts, fuel import dependence, and limited generation capacity created a cycle of instability that hindered industrial growth. However, in recent years, this very crisis has become a catalyst for structural transformation. The persistent shortages have accelerated a national conversation about energy security, sustainability, and self-reliance. As a result, Pakistan is now reimagining its energy landscape through the lens of renewable adaptation, regional collaboration, and climate-conscious policy design. A central pillar of this transformation is the country's shift toward renewable energy sources. The government has set ambitious goals for renewable integration, aiming to generate a significant portion of power from solar, wind, and hydro by the end of the decade. Balochistan's vast solar corridors are now being developed into large-scale renewable zones capable of exporting energy to industrial clusters in Sindh and Punjab. Similarly, wind farms along the coastal belt of Sindh are expanding through joint ventures with private and foreign partners. These projects are supported by European and multilateral climate finance institutions that see Pakistan as a strategic partner in advancing sustainable energy goals in South Asia. The evolution of Pakistan's energy policy is also rooted in regional cooperation. The vision of a green corridor connecting Central Asia's surplus hydropower and gas with South Asia's energy demand is regaining momentum. Projects such as CASA 1000 and discussions around Tapi Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline reflect a pragmatic shift transforming Pakistan's geographic position from an energy consumer at the edge to a regional energy conduit. This approach links infrastructure investment with diplomacy, helping build partnerships that transcend traditional political boundaries. In parallel, Pakistan is investing in decentralized energy systems, small-scale solar programs in rural Kham. Unities are reducing dependence on the national grid while empowering local economies. Startups in clean tech are developing affordable solar appliances and battery storage technologies for both domestic and industrial use. This innovation-driven model is not only reducing carbon emissions, but also improving energy equity. The broader outcome of this energy transition is the emergence of a new narrative one, where Pakistan's energy vulnerability is turning into energy diplomacy by leveraging renewable resources, technological innovation, and regional linkages. The country is gradually transforming its past energy crisis into an opportunity to contribute to global sustainability and regional stability alike. Pakistan's geography has always been central to its global identity, often discussed through the prism of strategy and security. Yet in 2025, that geography is being reinterpreted as an asset for economic and commercial connectivity rather than conflict. Located at the junction of South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, Pakistan occupies a position that few nations can replicate. For decades, its location was seen as a liability, a buffer between competing powers. Now, it is being transformed into leverage, a bridge that links regions through trade, energy, and logistics. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, remains the backbone of this shift. What began as an infrastructure initiative has evolved into an industrial and technological partnership. The second phase of CPEC is focused on special economic zones, renewable energy clusters, and digital connectivity, expanding the concept from roads and ports to a platform for value-added cooperation. Gwadar Port, once dismissed as an isolated project, is increasingly viewed as a potential gateway for Central Asian and Middle Eastern commerce. The integration of Gwadar with new rail and fiber optic routes aims to turn the Arabian Sea coast into a regional logistics hub connecting inland Asia with global shipping routes. Beyond China, Pakistan's role in facilitating the Tapi pipeline and cross-border energy projects underscores how geography is being redefined as an instrument of peace. The idea that pipelines and trade corridors can substitute confrontation with cooperation reflects a broader change in foreign policy thinking. Regional initiatives now link Pakistan's western borders with Central Asian markets and its southern coast with maritime trade partners, creating multi-directional economic corridors. This transformation is also attracting European attention. For Europe, Pakistan's connectivity vision offers diversification away from traditional choke points in global trade, particularly the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz. The prospect of stable overland routes across Asia appeals to logistics companies and investors seeking resilience amid geopolitical uncertainty. The development of digital and energy corridors that connect South and Central Asia through Pakistan aligns with Europe's own goals of sustainable connectivity and trade diversification. By turning geography into a source of opportunity rather than vulnerability, Pakistan is quietly repositioning itself in global affairs. The same terrain that once symbolized instability is now becoming a crossroads of commerce, technology, and energy, signaling a future where the map that once divided regions could instead help unite them through shared economic purpose. Pakistan's political landscape has long been associated with volatility, but recent years have seen a gradual and notable evolution in its institutional approach to governance. While political divisions remain sharp, there has been a quiet emergence of a new administrative discipline, one focused on execution, investment facilitation, and economic coordination. The country's crisis period exposed inefficiencies that had accumulated over decades, overlapping bureaucracies, inconsistent policy continuity, and a lack of trust between civilian and institutional stakeholders. Instead of being paralyzed by these challenges, Pakistan has started experimenting with hybrid governance models designed to deliver outcomes rather than rhetoric. At the heart of this shift is the Special Investment Facilitation Council, SIFC, an institutional framework that brings together the civilian leadership, military establishment, and private sector under one decision-making platform. Its purpose is not political, but operational, to streamline investment approvals, remove bureaucratic hurdles, and ensure that policies are implemented rather than endlessly debated. For the first time in years, multiple layers of governance are working in synchrony on core economic priorities such as energy, technology, and agriculture. This level of interagency coordination marks a structural departure from Pakistan's traditional governance style, where ministries often functioned in isolation. Transparency and digitalization have also become key instruments of reform. Platforms enabling real-time monitoring of foreign investment projects and simplified business registration processes are being introduced to attract both domestic and international investors. The SIFC's emphasis on measurable results and accountability has started to build confidence among development partners, who previously viewed Pakistan's governance as unpredictable. These reforms are gradually moving the country from ad hoc decision-making to an institutional model where economic planning is driven by data and implementation timelines. International observers, particularly from Europe and the Gulf, have recognized this administrative innovation as a step toward long-term stability. Investors are showing renewed interest not because the political environment is perfect, but because they sense an emerging culture of institutional maturity. This culture values performance over politics and process over personality. Pakistan's governance transformation is still unfolding, but its direction is clear. The state is learning to operate with efficiency, coordination, and purpose. The ongoing reforms represent not just a response to crisis, but the beginning of a new era in which institutions, rather than individuals, define the country's progress. In 2025, Pakistan stands at an extraordinary crossroads, a nation that has faced storms and yet learned to navigate them with purpose. What was once labeled crisis has become a catalyst for reinvention. From rebuilding its economy and embracing renewable energy to empowering its youth and redefining its geography, Pakistan is demonstrating that transformation begins not when the world believes in you, but when you decide to believe in yourself. The country's story today is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Each reform, each new collaboration, and each young innovator represents a small victory against the old narrative of instability. Pakistan is moving from reacting to challenges to designing opportunities not in isolation, but in partnership with the global community. For Europe and the wider world, this journey is a reminder that growth does not come from comfort, it comes from courage, collaboration, and a shared vision of peace and progress. As we look ahead, let this story inspire confidence not only in Pakistan's potential, but in humanity's collective ability to rebuild, rethink, and rise together. The challenges of this decade are real, but so is the strength of those who face them with determination and hope. To everyone listening, may this message serve as a reminder that resilience is the foundation of renewal and that opportunity often hides behind the veil of difficulty. May Pakistan's example encourage nations, institutions, and individuals alike to see beyond crisis, to see the future that can be built through vision, unity, and faith in action. Thank you for being part of this journey of understanding and optimism. wishing you all strength, wisdom, and good fortune in the paths you pursue, and to Pakistan, good luck on the road ahead. The world is watching, and the world is ready to see you rise.